Hi, this is Ruth Royal from Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm really delighted to be here today with Angela Gregg from Fresh Start Charity. She's founder and trustee. Hello, Angela. Lovely to
Hello.
meet you.
Hi, Ruth. Hi.
So, first of all, tell us a bit about Fresh Start Charity and what you do.
Yeah, well, it started out in July 2019 as Hadley Food Bank. And we felt that there is a need locally to support Hadley and the surrounding villages.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of an uptake, and then COVID hit, and our families and family numbers just grew from the food bank. Because we delivered the food bank to our families, we were able to build a rapport with them and find out why they needed our services, and that way we were able to identify gaps in the market really which needed more support. So in September 2020, it became a full charity, registered with the charity, which was amazing. And since September 2020, the charity has just diversified to meet the needs of the community where there were gaps in the market.
Wow, that's so interesting how that's sort of just grown organically, like to meet need, and then sort of becoming a full charity. What sort of different roles do people do at Fresh Start Charity?
Okay, so in April 21, just before that, we moved our food bank where we were storing it into Kersey Mill, and we had the opportunity to open a shop, which has always been my bucket list tick. So we opened our first charity shop in April 21 in Kersey, and then in December 21 we opened one on Hadley High Street, and then in May 2022 we've now got one in Ipswich. So the roles diversified over those 18 months really. We had volunteers who were helping pack the bags, food bag parcels. Then there was other volunteers who were delivering those to the families, and then obviously we had volunteers in our charity shop. And that's how it's grown really.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. So what sort of with volunteering, what do you think kind of drives people to want to volunteer, and what sort of qualities make good volunteers for you?
There's no good or bad volunteer. Anybody that wants to or wanted to help us and support us. Some of them were ladies who had lost their husbands, so they needed to get out, and it was a great way to meet new people. We had youngsters come to us because during COVID they got bored, so they offered their services. There were some youngsters who were doing their Duke of Edinburgh Award, so they did their voluntary with us. And it wasn't until we got to Ipswich where we realised it was a much bigger project. So we now have some paid and some voluntary people.
Oh, that's really interesting to understand. What sort of paid jobs do people do for the charity?
Well, particularly Ipswich, because the programme at Ipswich is to help 16 to 24-year-olds get work experience. And they get trained just for a couple of months in the cafe. We have Paddy and Scott's coffee in there.
Oh, brilliant.
And Scott has kindly supported us by giving free barista training to those people.
Wow.
So they get to work in the cafe serving customers and stuff like that. Then they get to work in the retail shop, where we teach them how to rotate stock upstairs, how to price it, also with regards to customer service face-to-face with customers, and how to use an EPOS system till work. And then finally they've got the option to work downstairs in our warehouse. I call it a warehouse, our stock room, where they get to manage the donations that come in, identify if they're worth putting up for sale or not. So it gives them a diverse amount of skills in hospitality, retail, warehouse, so it'll help them go out and get jobs. But the other paid jobs are a lady in the kitchen who's qualified cook, And she also teaches them how to do food safety, food hygiene. So there's a whole program going on in Ipswich.
Wow, that's amazing. So you've got people sort of supporting, like with the delivery, as it were, of like the shop, because it sounds to me that probably takes quite a lot of resource to be able to keep that going and doing. What about your own sort of journey? How did you become or be a charity founder?
Honestly, I had lots of medical problems, which meant that I had to give up corporate work because the amount of hospital appointments and things like that. So when we were asked to help out in the food bank, I jumped at the chance because I was just bored sitting at home. My background has always been in sales.
Right.
And it's, as I said, I have a bucket list, and and one of those was to open a charity shop. So I've fulfilled that, and more. And I'm still a volunteer. I absolutely love what I do, and it's also to see how it rewards other people. Is the satisfaction that I like. So that's how I sort of got involved and have just driven it forward, really.
Had you worked in sales sort of all your life before coming into this?
Yeah.
Do you think that you sort of had any transferable skills from sales that perhaps made it, it made you successful in terms of what you've done now?
I think so. And the reason I say that is because in sales, you've always got targets. You're always driven to hit that target. And you've got a goal that you need to achieve. So I think my background has helped helped in sales because I'm the driver, I'm the doer. If you're going to say something, and you're going to do it rather than just talk about it for months on end. When you're in sales, you've got to hit it within a certain time. So I think I'm driven just naturally because of my career history. Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting to sort of hear about that, because sometimes those sorts of qualities that you get from one role take you to another. And I think there's a piece there in terms of, perhaps when I was younger, certainly, that you sort of think that you've got to pick a job and you do that job for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I think actually there's something else, isn't there, where you kind of actually think, well, you learn from one thing and you move to another.
Yeah, I mean, even with this, indirectly you've got sales targets because you're running. It's almost just like running a business. So you've got overheads, the shop costs, and things like that. So yeah, there's again, setting myself targets to achieve sales, to ensure that we can maintain the charity. So absolutely, yeah.
And if you're, I guess, like you say, like it's running a business in that sort of way, have you had to sort of acquire any new skills to be able to do what it is that you're doing now, in terms of like, managing the overheads or anything like that?
Yes, because I've never owned my own retail shops or charity shops ever before. Dealing in commercial tenancy agreements has been a real learning curve, as opposed to a residential tenancy agreement, totally different. And I use Scott as a mentor from Paddy and Scott's, and Steve Flory from Hudson's, who support us, and it's listening to those guys who have achieved great success, and just like picking up from them, where should I go here, what should I do here? So I'm always learning. You can never stop learning.
What would you say to sort of young people that are looking to kind of get into charity work? Obviously volunteering's a good route in. What sort of things would you suggest that people do if they're interested in following that type of career?
It's funny, actually. We have a young girl, and her father came into the shop yesterday to see her, because when she said to him, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to work for a charity shop," he was like, "Oh, really?" Like his attitude to the old style charity shop is pretty normal. There's a bit of a stigma about it. However, when he came in, he said, "I can see why she wants to work here now." He said it doesn't feel like a charity shop. And I think it's because we have a number of young people already in there. I guess from historical, it has been elderly people that have volunteered. But I think since COVID has hit, they're a bit reluctant to come out, and even though it's sort of settled down, there's still that risk that you can get. Volunteers have dropped off quite significantly, which is why I went down the route to get use. And this is a way to get them into work experience. And we work with a number of agencies like Lapwing Education, Suffolk County Council, Ipswich Borough Council, the NEAT, which is not in employment, education and training, aged between 16 and 24, are lost. And they, you know, because COVID hit, the education system, you know, fell through really. And their motivation is they really don't know what they want to do with their lives. So this is why I just went into this business in Ipswich, particularly with this goal in mind, that we were going to give them work experience. So if anybody is interested, we start them off on a voluntary basis so that they don't feel under pressure of having a contract.
Yeah.
You know, we have one lad who, you know, he had fallen through the system, had been at home for a very long time, not being able to have self-confidence to go out. So I offered him some part-time voluntary, and I said, let's see how you go. You know, I don't want you to put any pressure on you. And he's absolutely thriving now. He's doing fantastic and loves it.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. So if people are in that position and sort of near to where you're based, then to absolutely sort of get in touch. What's the best way for people to do that, Angela? Is that to come into the shops or to?
Yeah, they can either go
email?
Kersey shop if they're living over that side, Kersey Mill, or they can email us at our email address, which is info@hadleyfoodbank.org. We still can't get our Fresh Start email working. Don't even go there. Technically, if anybody got technical, then they're more than welcome to come and join us. But so, or if not, they can just pop into the Ipswich shop and have a chat, because, you know, about 80% of the time there'll be a manager or myself there who will be able to sit down, have a chat with them. There's no criteria. You know, you don't have to have English and maths to do it. And I think that's another. They can't do an apprenticeship, and then to do an apprenticeship, they then have to go through the training skills to get the English and maths, and they just don't want to do it. So, you know, we have no criteria at all.
Oh, that's really helpful to understand. Really, just to sort of end on, Angela, if you were to go back and sort of have a conversation with your younger self, starting out on your career journey, what do you think you'd say to yourself?
I'm not sure if I should say it really, because when I was, it was all, you know, in my generation back then, you know, people didn't go off to college or university, and that's why I've identified with this age group, because I felt that life skills and, you know, getting stuck in is much better, because you know, I don't discourage, if that's the right word, I don't discourage people going to college or educate or you know, onwards. I'm a real champion of, like, come on, get your life skills, get out of bed, get to work, earn some money. And you'll see also, once they've got their own money, it gives them more independence, more self-confidence, self-esteem, and they absolutely love it.
Oh, Angela, thank you so much for giving us your time today. It's been great to talk to you.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.